Welcome to the Maconomy Power Launch Solutions Overview session. Maconomy has focused on professional services for 30 years. There are different modules and different parts of the solution that covers everything that you would want to do as a professional services company, such as CRM or customer relationship management, resource planning, time and expense, project management, finance and procurement, and business intelligence. This is the core of what Maconomy does. Everything that you would want to focus on as a professional services company. The center of what we do is the project timeline. When the qualified lead comes in, create an estimate. When the project is won, start planning the resources, register the time and expenses. Follow up on the progress, carry out progress evaluation and % completion of the project. And at the end, invoice the client. This is the core of the Maconomy solution. We have taken this a step further by building a pre-configured best practice solution. We've taken the best out of the Maconomy system and have pre-configured the different standardized workflows and processes, standardized roles and access, what a user can see and do. And we've also added the standardized reports that match what we believe the different roles of a professional services company will need. When we start the implementation, we actually start with the best practice and ask how do we want to deviate from this, rather than starting from a piece of blank paper. Now let's take a look at the 4 key roles that we typically see in the professional services company. The employee that executes the work. The project manager who is in charge of the project. The department manager who is in charge of the people and the resources and the planning around them. And the sales or account manager who is in charge of the client and assigning the right projects. In the next video, we'll look at the different angles of how these roles work.
Let's have a look at Maconomy Power Launch in different angles. We'll have a look at Art's workspace, who is an employee. Then we have Sean, who is a project manager, Annie, who is a department manager, and Martin, who is part of sales and account management. Looking at the employee role, we have a tailored menu that matches what an employee needs to do. This is the employee dashboard, which has access to key performance indicators or KPIs with regard to his performance. You can also see how his hours has developed over time. Down here at the bottom, he also gets an overview of his vacation, how many hours he has requested, and how many hours he has spent. Another key part of an employee's role is the ability to do their timesheet. Select the project, select the task, and then enter the time. There are a number of features that can be used to make entering time faster. Keep will keep the timesheet line on to the next timesheet until you uncheck the Keep box. Or you can save the line as a favorite. This is helpful for entries that you regularly use. The projects that are listed here in the drop-down menu is taken from resource planning, so the employee doesn't need to worry about what project he needs to use or to register to. Timesheets can be entered using the web client or browser, and through touch using the mobile app. If we go to My Plan, you will see an overview of what the employee is assigned to. The information displayed here is taken from resource planning as well. The employee can dive into the details of their assignment from here. Under Expenses, employees can enter their expenses here in different currencies, so this won't be a problem for multi-company and multi-currency companies. The information can be entered from the web client or by using touch. Employees also have the capability to access the absence request workspace. The employee can request an absence, which will go through an approval process. The line manager will have to approve the absence requested here. That was a quick introduction to the employee's role, a small menu tailored to what we believe an employee should have access to. If we move on and jump over to the project manager role, you will see that the menu has changed. We assign our employees to different roles that are connected to what they should have access to. We've opened the workspace to the project portfolio overview, which is in list view. This is a graphical overview of the projects that the manager is in charge of, and we can see how the project is performing in terms of margin and margin percentage, what the baseline hour is, what the contracted hour is versus what was spent, and what the estimate at completion hour is. You can foresee if the project will exceed the hours or not. Then we have some key KPIs at the top. Now let's dive into the project management workspace, where the project manager will spend most of their time. We went from the portfolio view to a single project view that the project manager is working on. Let's start with the dashboard. Here in the dashboard, we see an overview of the key details of the single project that we have selected. We have the KPIs that tells us how this project is performing. If we go into Project Info, the Details tab lists down key information about the project. Under the Tasks tab, this is where we can define the tasks that will be worked on for this project. In the Prices tab, we can see the different rate cards that have been set up. In this example, we have a rate card for a designer and an engineer, and you can see the prices right here. You can also make project-specific prices if you need to use different rates for a specific project. The Invoicing Plan tab lets you define how much you are going to actually invoice. Let me switch to another project to give you a better picture of how the invoicing plan will look like. Using another project, we have an example of an invoicing plan right here. You can also use the Documents workspace to upload documents or to view document archives. Moving on to the Budgeting workspace. To set the foundation for your project, you will need to set the budget that you want to measure against. For this example, we work with different budget types. Right now, what we're looking at is the working budget. To view the baseline budget, click on the Baseline tab. The Revisions tab gives a full history of what was changed in the budget. Now that we have laid the foundation for the project, we can look at staffing for this project by going to the Resourcing workspace. It shows us an overview of the resources that we have assigned for this project. Level 1 is a simplified way of looking at this page. You will only see the people assigned to this project. And down at the bottom is where you will see their availability. If I want to have a more detailed view of the plan, we can change the level, and it will display the different tasks that I can make a plan for this project. As you can see here at the bottom, the list of people has also expanded, since I have assigned more people to the project. I can follow up on my project under the Actuals workspace. At any point in time, I can see what I have spent against the budget that I made. I can see my baseline hours versus what I have spent. I can also see my working budget hours, so we can have a feel of how this is going to be when we're done with the project. And the same goes for the costs here. I can also drill into the details by clicking here. As the project progresses, you will want to monitor your project using the Progress Evaluation workspace. You can follow up on the completion percentage if it's a fixed price job. We also have this Progress Evaluation view, where you can see the baseline, the actuals, which can then lead you to change the estimate to complete that will then define the completion percentage, which is tied to the financials recorded here and how much revenue you can actually recognize for the project. Now, let's move on to invoicing. If you have decentralized invoicing, the project manager also has the capability to do invoicing. Let's select a different account to invoice. There are lines that are ready for invoicing. It tells us how much WIP is available, so that I can determine if whether I want to invoice, write it off, or carry it forward for the next invoice. There is also a chat functionality that you can use to chat with the finance people to let them know how I will proceed with this invoice. Invoicing can also be centralized, which means that this will be invoiced by finance, and the invoice will be sent to the project manager for approval. Project managers can then access the Approval Center to approve timesheets, expenses, and invoices. We hope this video gave you an adequate overview of how project managers can manage their projects and project financials. Now we are logged in as the line manager Annie. You can see that we have switched from a project-centric view to an employee-centric view since she is in charge of the people in the team. The line manager would normally view the team as one, so the first thing she would look at is the department dashboard. They can check how the department is performing in terms of hours that were spent and the revenue generated against the actual budget created. If we move on to the employee dashboard, we can drill down into each employee's performance. Right now, we are looking at the line manager's details, but we can change that by selecting a different member of the team. As a manager, they are also given access to employee HR info. Everything that they will need to know about the employee, from key information to skills, to contracts, and other pertinent information that managers will need access to. Another key thing for a line manager is to know whether the team is done entering time in their timesheets. Under Timesheets Overview, you will see the list of people under Annie's team. You can view how the employees have spent their time for the selected week. We can see their internal time, their billable time, and the balance that they have registered. There is also an option to send a reminder to the employee from this workspace. In Absence Overview, you will see the same list of people that we saw in the Timesheets Overview workspace. For the month of August, these are the requested vacations for each employee, and you can see whether they have been approved or not. The line manager gets a detailed overview of the vacations planned as a team, so she can plan the resources accordingly. If we open the Resource Management workspace, it will present us with the resource overview of the team. You will see the names of the employees who is under the line manager, some key information about them, and to the right of the screen is the detailed information about the employee's availability. There is an option at the bottom that allows you to have a different view. If we expand Sarah's line, we can see the projects that Sarah is assigned to. And as the line manager, if I would like to make changes to that, I can go ahead and make changes from here. We can also have a granular view by switching to Day View. And now we can see the data on a daily basis. If I want to plan on a monthly basis, I can also do that by using the monthly view. Another key feature that we can use is the group by a certain column. And now we can see how people are planned out by category. You can use any of the columns listed here, so we can get a more detailed overview for future resource planning. Another workspace that we can utilize to have an overview of our employees is the Employee Reporting workspace. If we open the Utilization dashboard, it will give you an overview of how the team has performed. We are looking at this report at a company level, and we can see the different departments down here, and what is their utilization over time. There is also an available graphical representation of the data. We can see the productive and the billable utilization. There are also other details that you can find by going to the other tabs. We went from an employee-centric view to a project-centric view, and now back to employee-centric view again for line managers. We have switched back to a customer-centric view for sales or account managers. Starting with the customer's dashboard, we can see how we are performing for this client with some key KPIs and data. We also have access to a number of tabs. The Information tab displays key information about the client. On the Contacts tab, we can see who the contact person is. This is also integrated with the CRM system, so we can see what activities have transpired. We also have the price list for the client, and you can see the rate card in this tab. We can also see the opportunities that we can work on, the revenue forecast, the project performance, so we can look at how we can deliver this project to the client. We can also see what we have invoiced to the client, and we can drill down into the different invoices. And we can also see whether the client has paid any of their invoices or not. The outcome of updating the opportunities and the pipeline is that we get this nice dashboard where we can slice and dice the data for the incoming opportunities. And under Opportunity Home, the account manager has access to maintain everything around the opportunity that she's working on. The account manager also has the capability to add resources to the opportunities and to see the actual hours spent on the opportunity. We can also see a number of key information about the opportunity. When the opportunity gets signed and becomes an actual project, the account manager can convert this opportunity into a project, and the project manager can take over from here. From a sales point of view, one of the important details they will need is the revenue forecasting workspace. It is possible to take the bookings on the resource plan and convert that into future revenue forecast. On this first page, we get an overview of how the revenue forecast plays out over months in terms of the order book, the opportunities, and we also have a blue sky, which are future projects that we haven't established yet. Then we can see a forecast of the revenue that we can generate based on these information. If we want to drill down into the details, we can then check this under the Order Book tab. We can see all the projects that ran. and we can see the forecast that we have made for the different projects. The information here comes from different places. It can be directly updated from resource allocation, even distribution, or from the invoice plan, and other ways of distributing out the revenue to provide that overview of your revenue forecast. And this concludes the introduction to the 4 key roles in Maconomy Power Launch.